via the laptop, welcome. Thanks for joining. We're sitting in Nelspruit, AfriMat quarry here. We've got a few people here. And we're going to start. I'm going to hand over to Anthony. And yes, I think you guys will be free to ask any questions, make any comments. Is there any comments at this stage that you would like to make? Okay, everybody happy? Right, we're going to then kick off today and do this dry run and see how it works. Also just want to welcome, we've got two people from the Clay Brick Association who's also here with us, who came to visit to see how we do this thing, and we can all learn from each other. Thanks. Okay, Anthony.
Good morning, folks. This is the day for the dry run. Everyone on the call, and then of course to our hosts, AfriMat, Leonard, and Letitia, and them. Thank you very much for the use of your quarry and your facilities. They've made us very welcome here. And Nico's making a noise in the background, but never mind. Thank you again, AfriMat. It's really very generous of you to let us use your operations. I know it's a bit of an inconvenience, but I'm sure we can give you some value and some benefit to that. The format of the day, and this is particularly for the guys that are logged in. Excuse me if I don't look at the camera all the time. I've got two audiences, so it's quite. This is new territory we're into. The format is we're going to start off with the remote section of the audit. If you remember correctly, we decided to have two sections. One would be a remote section and one would be a physical audit. Ideally, when you do the remote audit, no one would be on your premises. You do it remotely, and that's more a compliance type audit. And then we would do a physical audit. So there are two sections to it. It's going to be a little bit of a push today to get it both all done. But so we're not going to waste too much time. Okay. The way it will start is I'm going to hand over to Leonard, who's the quarry manager. He's the 31A, and it's obviously his operation. And he's then going to, firstly, he's going to give us your presentation first. His presentation, which is part of the audit. From that, a lot of information comes through. And then he'll also do a quick induction for us so that when we go onto site, we are fully compliant with their regulations. The other thing is, while we're here, we've complied with the COVID-19 regulations. I'm not going to wear a mask all the time because it just muffles the sound. But we're in a very well ventilated room. There's sanitizers. We've been scanned. The other people are wearing masks, so we're keeping according to the policies. All right, without further ado, I think I'm going to hand over to Leonard and let him do his presentation. If you can share your screen with us, Leonard. Are you logged on?
If he logs in, it's going to do feedback.
Okay.
Can we maybe give Anthony the presentation on the stick?
Have you got a stick? Yeah, then I can just pop it in. Then you can just run through it. Yeah, if you've got a stick with it, just give it to me.
It's on my stick.
Is it on your stick?
So put it on your computer. And then give Anthony.
Yeah.
Sorry, we didn't think about that.
Yeah, no. As I said, Letitia, this is a bit of new territory. We haven't done one of these before. So, folks, please bear with us. For the remote guys, the guys that have logged in, some of it's going to get probably a bit tedious. You're more than welcome to go in and out as you wish. We're going to do, as I said, the remote section, which will be this morning, and then we'll do the physical walk around a little later on. So during that time, you're more than welcome to, come in and go out as you like. It's really, it's entirely up to you. Super, thanks. I'm just going to get this presentation on quickly. Leonard, is it under your name? Under that, is it under that one? Your phone. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, I think the important thing is to share that because this is what everybody's going to have to do.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to share the screen. Let me try again. Can you guys see it yet, Annika?
No, nothing yet.
Not yet.
No.
Okay. Not yet?
Also, Anthony can see it now.
Okay. All right. I'm going to put on presentation mode just for people that are remote. Please understand that the part of the audit you will be required to do the manager's presentation, which carries quite a high scoring on your audit. So this is what Leonard is going to do now. I just want to, before Leonard starts, Leonard, relax. I know everyone's a bit tense this morning. We're all a little bit new in this, but I think, folks, let's just relax and let's try and get the maximum benefit out of this. We're not here to find fault with you. We're not here to pick you apart. We're here as a dry run, and hopefully we can give you some benefit in terms of your environmental things. And just be cool and tell us what you've got. So I'm going to hand over to Leonard. I think you must actually come and sit here. Otherwise, you're not going to get the you can just watch it off here. It's fine. Yeah.
Put that chair there.
Yeah. You pop off there.
When you click on like
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh. Okay. So Leonard's going to give us his presentation now. Over to you, Leonard.
Thanks, Anthony. I think we are very pleased to actually be chosen, and this will benefit us as site. And obviously, we are looking forward for your input. I think we do have 40 slides. I'm not gonna waste much of our time because I understand that we still gonna spend time on the floor. So this what I actually thought that I'm going to discuss. We are going to do, because I understand some of you have not been here. You are new to the site. So we are firstly going to do the site presentation. The second part will be the mining right and boundaries. The third part will be approved EMP, the layout of EMP, water use license, and performance assessment, and dust monitoring and mitigation. Locality, this is where we are. We are at Dingwall Farm 276.
All the market. What are you going to do? You just read it.
We are at Dingwall Farm 276 JT, Barberton Magistral District. The site is situated in an agricultural setting, approximately 12 kilometers from Nelspruit towards White River. The quarry is located 4 kilometers from R40 on Solomon Street, Rocky Street. Commodity mined in this area is granite. This is how the site looks like. It's unfortunate that I don't have a pointer, but I think I will want to go to the screen.
And point with your mouse, it will work, and then we will open this up. Sorry.
Just point with your mouse on the screen.
Is it still showing now?
What is it? It's not showing on these. Big.
He's gone back one.
Go back. Yeah.
Here we go. Yeah, there.
Yes.
Now, sorry about that. You're not getting to use the camera.
Oh, sorry, can I please use my laptop?
Just do that.
Okay. All right. Let's start with the query. This is how our query looks like with the mouse. Yeah. This is how our query looks like, and we have got a old plant which have been used in the past, and we currently have a new old plant that came from LSRAS. It used to be my baby, so it just makes sense for me to be here. And we've got stockpile area where I think in the past we used to screen or crash down 18 to minus 9mm crash ascent. And then obviously we've got with our offices is where we are. We've got workshop, and then we've got operation block. Ready mix is on our other side. That's our neighbor, and we've got like staff picking where our staff parks their vehicle. As you can see, there's an access road leading to the quarry, leading to the new plant. Is a two-way like traffic. You come in, the arrow that shows the red one is a entrance. That's how you come in, and the blue one, that's how you actually go out of the quarry, or I mean of the new plant. The yellow one is indicates where our dump trucks travels. In future, we will plan to actually make sure that dump truck don't actually interfere on the plant. So there will be like a new road that's going to be constructed. And we do have a stream running. If you can look at that, there's a stream running there. We've got 3 bridges. There are 2 like bridges. The other one was made, but due to the heavy rain that we had, it was washed away. So we had to make another plan, emergency plan. We only put the boulders. There's still drainage happening, but we will look into building a proper bridge in future. Here is our mining right. This is the copy. Our mining right was granted and executed thanks to the Stephen, the Danis, and the Letitia. The area is 73 hectares, but the area is divided into 2 areas. I will explain that as we move on. Commencement date, it was on the 4th February 2020. That was just before the COVID. That's why we would actually get the copy later on, as I understood. 21 years ending February 2041. That means I'm definitely going to retire here. That's 21 years like I had.
You hope that.
The holder of the mining will pay the royalties for the duration of the mining right. Mining area, continuous area subdivided into 2 areas. 54 hectares will be allocated for expansion of mining, which include the existing mining permit. 18.2 will be utilized for sand mining, which has not yet commenced. 2 sites are adjacent each other. 54.4 hectares will be divided as follows: about 3 hectares for crushing and screening, about 3 hectares for offices, weighbridge, parking areas, diesel tank, abrasion facilities, and workshop, salvage yard. About 4.4 to 6 hectares will be utilized for stockpiling, and 44 is allocated for expansion of our pit. That's the two sides. This is the picture that shows 2 sides adjacent to each other. When you get on your right hand side, this is where the side mining will be at, and on the other side, this is where our existing quarry, expansion of the existing quarry will take place. This is the pathway for the expansion of the existing quarry, and this part on the other side of the road is the part where the sand mining will be. This is our boundaries. As you can see, there's also 9-meter line that shows that where we must stop mining. There's a fence around. The fence was erected last year. So as you can see that we still have a long way to go as per our map. Now we're going to talk about approved EMP, which was approved for our mining right. We had the other one was approved for our mining permit. So this is the one that I just got from Leticia. She gave me this to me, I think 3 days back. Was it 3 days back?
Is the ink still wet there?
Slowly inspection.
The layout of EMP, this is what we're going to discuss. The section EIA, identify and evaluate the potential impacts, beneficial and adverse of the project. Obviously, when we look at on the beneficial side, there will be more work opportunities for local residents, skill development, contribution to the construction industry. Section B will be talking about implementation phase. The site already has existing infrastructure. Some infrastructure may be added during the life of mine, like our oil store is becoming like a concern capacity. So in future we'll need to extend our oil store because we've got more machines now on site. Identify monitoring of mitigation measures, rehabilitation, and cost. This is what will be this. Let's look at the implementation. Air quality. This is what is expected of us. Proper measures must be taken to suppress dust on site. Monitoring of obviously of dust fallout. I think this more, will be. I actually didn't put any pictures because of we will be going outside, so we can see for ourselves. Noise mining activity generally generate noise, hence activities are limited to normal working hours. So we are on site from 7 to 5. During blast, we notify the landowners which surround us 24 hours prior blasting. Excavation activities, topsoil must be stripped and stockpiled. Used for creation of BAMs. We don't sell topsoil. Very little topsoil to be handled because of our geology, and under no circumstances should topsoil stored outside the mining area. Waste management. General waste is kept in containers. We do try to separate waste. We've got different bins, hazardous and non-hazardous, and we've got a record of that. No waste is disposed off through burying. Hazardous waste are collected by registered hazardous waste collector. There was a report of heritage impact study, and that study showed that we don't have any record of existing heritage resources. Stormwater management, runoff water and storm water should be directed around the mine to prevent erosion and flooding of working area. This is our financial provision towards our rehabilitation. There should be 10 million, I think 267 put aside for the purpose of rehabilitation. Environmental audit report, then the next audit against our new EMP is due on November, as I was advised. This is the report from the last, which happened 2020 for our this is the performance assessment. So when we look at the air quality, we are compliant. Noise, we are compliant. Invaders, we can invade the plants. And this is the point where I truly asked for help so that the site can actually know which plants should be taken out so that we can drive that program. Storm surface and storm water, a lot can be done on to convert or divert water around the stockpile area. We need to see where we can build trenches so that we can divert water to the surrounding area. Health and safety risk, likely we didn't encounter injuries. Pollution, we try to separate waste. Access roads, erosion, dust, and topsoil. This is like report. If we do have that report is available. I'm just gonna go through.
Just can I stop you just a second? Who did the report?
Ali Chinkoboko, our environmental
internal.
Yeah, what we do is internally we do the audit and we find an independent person verifying the work of our. So there's an external independent consultant that comes around yearly to our operations. So he doesn't do the groundwork. He comes in, does a quick check, verify in the report, he sees what the auditor comes with, and then he signs the report.
I'm going to move to dust mitigation and monitoring. Thank you. Monitoring aspect, role, responsibilities, does the site manager to ensure compliance with the guidelines as stipulated in the ENP. Compliance to be monitored by the environmental officer, does monitoring consultant to check dust results and provide guidelines. Let's look at the responsibilities. Control the liberation of dust into the environment by the use of water, spraying dust allaying agents that we can see on site. Ensure continuous assessment of all dust suppression equipment. This is the site management. Limit the speed on access roads to 40 kilometers. In the event of increased dust, howling should be stopped and effectively watered down all the roads. That's why we've got water cat continuously watering the road, remove all disturbed areas, dumped all and stockpile. Monthly follow-up dust monitoring is done to actually give us like a guideline if ever we are producing dust and is going outside our mining boundaries. Quarterly grammatic dust monitoring should be done. Dust monitoring, daily monitoring, this is the site manager. Site management, monthly formal dust monitoring is the consultant. Quarterly formal monitoring is also the consultant. Quarterly compliance check, environmental officer. Dust fallout results, this is acceptable limit, residential area, and not sequential months.
I move. So I'm late.
Can I continue? That's the rate. This is the limit that we need to adhere of. We must comply with the SANS 1929 stroke 2011. This is how dust fallout on site, but I guess this will change because of now we've got a new plant. I spoke to the consultants. They should come to site and see, because now we've got a new plant. In the past, we had the north behind plant, the bucket, the west plant entrance, the east stockpile, and the workshop. This is the results. Sorry, the picture is not very clear, but this is our dust fallout results for this year. I only have for January. I should have the February one, but as you can see that we are identified as non-residential, and we are way below the limit. Dust contributors. That's the blast that happened on the 8th. I just thought that I should include that. You can play it. I'm playing. This was about 6,000 cubes, and it happened on the 8th of this month. The bigger blast, the 15,000 cubes, is planned for the 19th on Monday. So this, you can see how much dust is generated from the blast. That's a massive dust. The main dust contributors, we've got drilling and blasting, loading and hauling, tipping, transfer points between A and B, screening and crushing, and vehicle movement. Let's look at the stormwater management. Stormwater that collects on quarry floor is used for dust suppression. And I put that when you see there's a weight in the bracket and it's written unlicensed. I will explain that. Letitia, I think she's aware of that. Stormwater that enters the working area is channeled away from the buildings, dispersed into the surrounding areas. BAMs are in place, but can still be improved in the plant area to prevent excess in water runoff water from entering working areas. Stormwater in the remaining areas follow the natural runoff path and dispense into the vegetated area and streams. Trenches and continue to be made where applicable to divert water and runoff from working areas. Quality monitoring results to be submitted quarterly. We will also discuss that in the next slide. This is our stormwater management as stipulated in the EMP monitoring aspect, the role and the mitigation. Surface water handling, daily compliance monitoring by site management, monitoring of compliance to applicable water standards, quarterly compliance monitoring by consultants, divert water around the topsoil heaps, stockpile areas, access road to prevent erosion and loss of material, divert runoff water around stockpile areas with trenches, and continuous exposure to prevent erosion of work area. Conduct mining in accordance with the best practice guidelines for small-scale mining relation to stormwater management, erosion, and water management.
Can I just stop there for a second? The trenches that you're doing in the water runoff it's exiting your site. What are you doing with that? Is there water running out the site? Still water? There must be.
There must be.
Yeah. So have you got measures in place there to stop pollution into the streams? I just wanted, just for clarity.
And Leonard, before you started down this road, there used to be a terrible run, and they put big boulders to stop the flow and catch the sediment all along.
Okay.
But with the heavy rains, the cyclone, I think we need to recheck if all of that is still in.
Yeah, that was extreme. I mean,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah,
not normal sort of
So the
rainfall.
most was from here out that way, and I know that was done prior to Leonard starting.
Okay, when we do the physical,
Yeah.
That's just, it's an interesting aspect because it impacts on your highways.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the flow is all from this area.
Yeah.
And that's difficult for me to see.
Yeah. Okay, cool, thanks.
Let's move on to water use license. Let's see. This slide, okay. This slide, Letitia, I'm gonna come back to this slide, ne?
Okay, you want to skip?
Yeah, then we can come back to this slide. This is our water sampling point. You can see that there's downstream and upstream. We've got MP4, which is the borehole, our borehole. We've got MP3, which is our borehole. MP4, which is water in the quarry. MP1 and MP2 are running on a stream. The water sampling result that, as per our quarterly results, our water use license doesn't have any limit with it. So water was analyzed according to Inkomazi water limits. So we were compliant on MP3, which is MP3, which is our borehole, and our borehole is also fit to be used by human consumption. MP1 and MP2 were also compliant as against to Ingomati reserve limit, but our water in the pit was found not compliant. We can go through the
Just stop there. Non-compliant for human consumption or for agricultural use?
agricultural use.
For agricultural use.
Yes.
Okay.
There are no limits set in the water use license, therefore laboratories that could only be assessed against Incomatic catchment limits, South African National Standard catchment resource quality objective. The surface water in the stream was assessed against the catchment resource quality objective, and it was found that variables are compliant. Samples from the borehole were analyzed against the South African National Standard for drinking water, particularly because the water is used for domestic purposes. There's a need to ensure that water from the pit mine is monitored and managed effectively. Excessive discharge could result in a negative impact on the downstream water resources.
So just a contribution on that. I'm seeing that we don't have a mandated area for dirty water and clean water from outside. So I was suggesting, if possible, we have an area where all the water from the dirty area drains towards or drains to. It might be a small ditch or depending on the size of the catchment.
Can I ask you something? Can you please take your mask off? I can agree here.
All right. I was saying, I've seen from your presentation that we don't have a clean water area separated from the dirty water area. And I think that's it's actually contributing to the pollution of our ozone, because the pollution of our small river or small stream. So I'm suggesting, if it's possible, the resources are available. If we're having, if we demarcate and allow stormwater from the dead area draining towards the pollution control pit or dam, then we'll see with time that our pollution levels are not going to be higher on the lowest side.
I think you need to be very careful what you do when you go this route, because it's a can of worms. And water management is really a can of worms.
Our stormwater management technical reports do allocate those.
Yeah.
So it is, Leonard, sorry, just for witnesses from the Kumar, the environmental officer from there. Sorry, I haven't met each other yet. So it is certainly something that we will put in our presentation and add to point out the clean in and the dirty.
Because you're going to firstly have to determine what the pollution source is, what is the content in that water, and then you're mitigating steps to handle that specific issue. You know, it could be, I don't know what it is. One would have to have it analyzed and see. Is it AMD? Is it, I mean, that's acid? Is it explosives? Is it effluent? We don't know at this point. Maybe you do. I don't know. But we don't at this point. So yeah, it's a valid point.
Yeah. I'm saying this because under the mining guidelines, we don't have to have water from the top cleaning our dirty area and blowing it.
Yeah, absolutely. And your water act as well makes sense. So it is something that you're going to have to look at.
So we're going to have to combine the pit water.
Essentially, yes. Yeah. But now you're using pit water for dust suppression. So if you need to know what the contaminants are, because those will leach in any case. You know, so it's a topic which you must really look at from a specialist perspective. Sorry, interrupting you.
No, it's fine. I think the summary of the report concluded that there hasn't been any impact on the negative impact towards the stream that came from this mine.
But just for your own protection, remember, I'm assuming, and please correct me, that you are the environmental responsible person in the 3-1 here. And this is where NEMA gets very, very unpleasant for you individually, not just for the company. So you need to know exactly what's going on there to protect yourself. Remember, this audit and this process that we're doing is really to help you with compliance and to keep the guys protected. It's not a case of a fault find. ASPASA has taken the road to say you need to keep our members out of trouble and our operations compliant. So, but we can talk about that later. Please carry on.
All right, we move on. The next slide we'll be talking about perimeter noise. This is the noise that actually we are generating in the site. But you can understand that these other noise which are contributing to this area, and we also contribute to that. So this is where, and also this is going to change since we put a new plant. The north behind plant, that point on that day, the noise was 65 decibel, and on the other side it was 64. And on the east stockpile, as you can see, it was 57.3, and on the workshop, it was tested 60.8 decibel. The sampling took place on the 5th 11/2020. You can see that the ambient noise and what was actually like sampled on site, there hasn't been 7 decibel difference. So we are contributing to noise on the surroundings, but I think the noise that is being generated from site is manageable. Conclusion: water use could exceed limits. We do have like a spreadsheet which we do keep daily that shows, that indicates, so we could exceed like limit. Some water management can improve. Oil store capacity becomes a concern, and water use license don't cover the watering of water accumulating in the pit. I think that's where my concern was. Any question?
Yeah, just on the blasting, it's one of the questions that you will be asked. If you monitoring your blast noise, air blasts, ground vibrations, you want to with the size of the
Yes.
How many do you put in?
You put 1.
Okay. Is it in the same place each time?
Yeah, it's
consistent.
It's in the same place.
So we go to the screen. I also want to ask you something. We finished with the presentation, so we can go to the camera.
Yeah.
How do we do that?
You want to go to the camera?
Yeah, let's just actually.
You're out of the jail now. Thank you, Leonard. Yeah. I don't know why it doesn't want to go there. Maybe that's screen sharing.
Right. I think just from my side, I would like to thank Leonard and Anthony and all the colleagues here. I don't know how many people are still on our Teams meeting. There's quite a few. I think what we try to do here, and we open for discussion, is to give a person like Leonard an opportunity to practice this process. So should community come here and say this and that and so forth, he's going to be able to handle it. That's the one thing. The other thing is, I would like to ask if we feed in from the other people that are not here today. If there's anything on this list that Leonard has shared that he should share, please let us know, because I think he's done a very good job here, and we'll circulate this. I've made summaries of it. We'll circulate. But if there's something that you think, we should maybe put that in these manager presentations, please let us know. And then we can share that with everybody and make sure that we cover the whole lot of issues. Thanks for that, and thanks, Leonard. That was excellent. I enjoyed it. It's so nice to see somebody so committed to environmental and being part and parcel of it. Anthony, I'm handing over to you again. Thanks.
Thanks, Nico. All right, folks. Yeah, I think, the importance of the manager's presentation, and it was clearly demonstrated today, is to show the understanding that the guys have and what they're actually doing on their sites, because ultimately they are responsible. They're the environmental responsible person. It doesn't necessarily have to be the 3-1. It can be anybody who is appointed, but as we all know, on most quarries and operations, the 3-1 gets it. He gets everything. If the cat has kittens, he's also blamed. So it's true. I've got the ladies from the Clay Brick Association laughing at me, but it's quite true. The 3-1s are always in the hot spot. There are some. I'm just looking here. There's some messages there. Okay, no, that's great. All right. I'd like to move on. We can move on now to the actual audit document. Unfortunately, maybe I should go there. I'm just going to move sites, so just give me half a second. I'm going to connect on for the sake of the people here. You got one of those other ones? Okay, all right, we're nearly back on track. Letitia, there'll be one or two little changes, but I'll tell you what they are. All right, I'm going to ask, can we focus, sorry?
Be back. Why did you not go?
You'll sit in the corner. Okay, I'm going to share the audit document. Yeah, I'm sharing it here.
I just need to remember about our diagram that you developed. What is it within that unlost? So I want marshmallows.
Annika, can you see this document?
Are you on the remote at the moment?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, you can. Annika?
Yeah, Bo, I can see it.
Okay, brilliant. All right, folks, this is what the audit document essentially looks like, or the proposed, should I say, the proposed document. On the remote audit, it starts off with satellite industries, which we've put quite a lot of focus on. Just go to satellite. Yeah, there you go. If you look at the top there, it asks you a question: are there satellite industries on your site? Because you are responsible for those areas as well. Be it a ready-mix plant, be it a concrete block operation, an explosives depot, drilling and blasting workshop, or a base operation, cell phone towers, or any other thing that's there. Now, in this particular instance, and I was cheeky enough to ask Letitia beforehand, so I have a little bit of prior information. The ready-mix site, which is at Dingwall, is excluded from the mining area, which is actually a very good idea from the mining perspective. And so in this case, the audit document there, satellite industries, there's nothing applicable. Okay. Should you have a ready-mix plant on your site, you are ultimately responsible for not only the health and safety of that site, but also the environmental impact that site might have, as well as any pollution that comes from that. So please just, whoever's got those, be aware of that. We have spoken about this before. It can become an issue for you. Let's move to the leadership side. And this is where the manager's presentation becomes important. And if the folks that are on site on the call will remember that when we started off with on the initial formulation of this committee and this process, we said that it's important that the managers have a good understanding of the EMP and EMPR so that they know what is going on. Because this is where, and Nico referred to it just now, your NGOs and stakeholders are going to come to you and start hammering you on certain things. And if you don't know what's in that EMP or EMPR, you're going to end up with a mouthful of teeth. And I can guarantee you will sort you out. Annika, some of the folks say they can't see the screen.
Oh, no, I can see it perfectly clear, Anthony.
Okay. Still not the, I don't know. Yeah. Won't you just phone Mark-Marie? Because she can't see what we're doing.
Okay, will do.
Thank you. All right, so let's carry on with this. Leadership and commitment. We're going to run through the audit document. We're not going to stay too long on it because we're not going to have time to do it. So we'll touch on the various subjects and have a look at it. I think is it evident that the understanding of the management of the site, of their EMS and systems, I think so, very much so. Well done, Leonard. In that case, definitely you are compliant there. You know what you're talking about. Keep on polishing it, and don't you sort of think you've read it once, you know what's in there. You've got to keep up to date with it and keep familiar with it. So yeah, well done on that one. Eh?
But I think this is like a rule.
No, sure, fair enough. But I mean, you've demonstrated what you know. You've showed us the various aspects that need that need to be addressed. There are obviously gaps. There will always be gaps that one needs to address. But that's what the purpose of this audit is to show you where those things are so that you can address them. Now, remember that this ideally will be done remotely, this section. So you won't be seeing the person doing it, you know. So it's going to be your word and what you present versus what the interpretation. Once they come onto the physical thing, then they will see, okay, well, you've done what you said, or you haven't done what you should have done, and you know that's where the second audit will either reward you for being proactive, or it will penalize you accordingly. Okay. You're fully accountable, that we know. The requirements are integrated into business operations, that we know. Are there resources available, required resources? You made a comment just now, are there resources? So that's always a question that is difficult to answer with all our companies. So more money, I want some money. And the boss says, sell me more product. Eh? But yeah, from what we've seen here, there definitely is enough. Does it support the relevant management roles to demonstrate their leadership? It certainly does. So on your first section, well done, you've scored very nicely there. Okay, now we ask other things. Do you have a written environmental policy?
Yes.
It's displayed? Okay, so that's good. Is it signed by the CEO?
Yes.
Letitia's nodding her head very definitely as she's been through this one. Have you signed it, Leonard? Are you sure? Well, that's great. And then we've been on that one again.
Sorry, Anthony, can I just interrupt?
Sorry?
Can I interrupt quickly? I've lost your screen, your presentation.
Okay. Have you got it there?
No, it's gone. There you go. Thank you.
Are we back? Okay.
Thank you.
Super. All right, folks, sorry for those that we lost. We've just gone through the first few questions. And as you can see, basically everything that was said in the manager's presentation answers a lot of the questions as we're going through this. I'm going to just run through these. I'm not going to read every question. You can see for yourself. Clients' obligations. All right, continual improvement of the environmental management system. That is there. Okay, stakeholder engagement. This is a big one that we always talk about. What is what do you do on stakeholder engagement? Because you've got communities close by.
There's one happening next door if you want to go observe.
Okay, great stuff. Yeah.
I'm not going to go to the community and
No.
We have the CFO. So I usually interact most and most of the time with. So if any concern from the side
okay. Do you have a mechanism by which the community can come to you or address certain things?
We've got one community representative.
Okay.
The community goes to that representative.
Okay.
The representative speaks to them.
Okay.
And we meet regularly with that representative.
Okay. So there is a channel. That's the main thing. Is that channel effective? That's the other question. Yeah. Okay. So, folks, for the guys that are not here, stakeholder engagement is certainly there, and the channels and the commitment is there. Your employee training in terms of your EMS, what do you do in terms of that?
Uitgelokken weer ingelokken naar zo.
Oh, sometimes you ask questions. Send it to me. I mean, we have daily meetings today.
Okay.
So that's where we get the opportunity to try and hear from them.
Okay. Okay. All right.
And I think it's also important to mention we use this presentation platform last year to train all the managers on their communities.
Yeah.
So we use a lot of internal in-house on the job processes for these practical things. Otherwise, if you send them to environmental or for environmental managers, they get 6 parts full of law that they can't come and apply.
I think the main thing, Letitia, is what are you doing here? You know, it's all good and well we send people on training courses, but you sit in a thing and you come out, your head's about this big, you've been blown apart. But it's the effective training is on site, the small bits that the guys can take in. And it's the guys out here, you know, the guy on the site that makes the difference for you.
We also make an environmental topic every month.
Okay.
That links to the EFD.
Okay.
That they conduct.
Yeah. Okay. No, that's great. Okay. So that's there. That's there. Has the policy been reviewed? Your environmental policy?
Yeah.
What is your review period?
And it's yearly, every January the new one comes up. The review starts in August.
Okay. And that policy, is it available to your stakeholders? How? Just the website, or do you have it as a physical document somewhere else? It's displayed. Okay. With the new regulations, you're going to have all your information is going to be on it's for public knowledge, and that is going to hurt a lot of people because
we've had 2 requests from community members for EFD.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you must give it.
You've got to give it, yeah. Yeah, you've got to give them access. And your performance assessments are also going to become public knowledge. And that's actually the one that's really going to hurt. Okay. Are the stakeholders engaged on a regular basis regarding environmental issues and concerns? Are they engaged, your stakeholders, your various stakeholders? For example, your communities, your neighbors, any stakeholder that you have, do you engage them on a formal basis? Okay, let's hear it. There's been a consultation there.
Some of the things are minor, so that's why.
Yeah, no, it's fine. You must relax. Don't worry. We're not. This is not a. It's not a court case. Yeah. So your stakeholders. Let's go back to that. Your various stakeholders. How do you engage with them?
Sorry,
you're online.
Hey, Anthony.
We just had Anton Gobrin come in here. He's disrupting the whole thing.
Yeah. So that's I think I'm Dank je, girls.
Ik vind dat we een riepel krijgen.
Was die man een riepel? Je kan er niet zoeken. Zie je Dank je.
Okay, so let's come back to the stakeholder one because it's quite a high scoring one. Letitia, it is question 5261. Just for the people there. Okay, so give us, Leonard, give us, you or Letitia, give us some info on that one.
So obviously there's formal public participation that had to take place specifically here with the new EMP.
Yes.
It's quite a new transfer mining permit, right to a permit, and the whole EMP process and the Buddha process, the formal public participation, and then through that same community liaising member and the information of when blasts are taking place, because that's part of it, and any complaint or information goes through that community liaison.
Is it effective, do you think?
Yes, it was our very first negative encounter here. NASA's came and closed our gates and burned our equipment. And since we started that liaison process, we have done that.
Okay, no, that's great. All right. And then the other one is, are the following included in contract with suppliers, goods of goods, services, and contractors, such as drillers, security, load and haul, contract gardeners? Is there a commitment there? Is it included in the contract?
Yes.
Okay. Do you audit your on-site contractors, your suppliers? And what do you do? What is there provision for non-compliance?
Chase them all.
Okay, good old-fashioned quarry medicine. Go. The gate's open. All right. But as you see, I'm not going to stick on the smaller questions, just from a time perspective. So please, if there is something you want to hear or see, please just shout. Okay. All right, here it gets to you, Leonard, again. Has top management appointed a person or persons responsible for the following? The responsibility of the overall environmental management operation. In other words, do you have an appointment, that signed appointment, as the environmental responsible person? Okay. So you're in the hot seat. And that will then carry on through there. You have a responsibility, the responsibility of conducting and submitting EMP performance assessments. But you don't do that. It should be somebody else that does that. The performance assessment. Who does your performance assessment? Are you doing it internally, Letitia? Oh, on the same basis as the other one. Okay. All right. So it's then that way.
You can mark us down there. I don't know if we appointed
You're not sure, but it is being done, so we'll put it as a half mark there. Okay. Okay, who does your financial provision?
In-house and verified external.
Okay, so it's the same one. Huh? Who has the responsibility of establishing, maintaining the EMS that conforms to ASPASA? And that's in your appointment. Is it stipulated? And you've got the responsibility of fulfilling compliance obligations. Conducting environmental aspect assessments of the operation, that's part of your appointment. Okay. Remember, these are what you've been appointed to do. Whether it's been done, we'll check later. You can't hide that one, I'm afraid. Okay, has a responsible person been appointed to manage waste on the site? Do you have a specific person, an individual person, like a waste manager or something like that? Or it doesn't have to be a manager, it can be a person who has to monitor the volumes and that sort of thing. No. Okay.
There's a person doing that, but I
haven't been appointed.
There's a responsible person that's not on paper. We put it on paper.
Yeah. Okay. Have the appointed persons received adequate training on the extent of the environmental responsibilities?
Yes. Then was then our environmental training there. I asked him to.
Okay. And yourself?
We were together.
Are the appointed people able to keep up with the relevant legislation? Because the legislation changes literally daily, as you know. So is Tali feeding that through to you?
And he just be, I mean, he comes here once a month. So
okay, so it's on a regular basis. Okay. Are your appointments documented? Have you got physical, are they all there in and included in the EMS documentation? So is your appointment in your file?
Yes.
Yeah.
But those that are missing?
They're missing, we know that, yeah. Okay. Right. At the end of this section on leadership, it's an 89% as what we've seen. It may be different. You know, as I said, let's not get too stuck on the marks. We're actually going through the process. Okay. All right. Let's move to 6.1. But I'm pushing it a little bit. I'm sorry, but I want to rather do a bit more on the physical side as well. I think that's going to be more interesting for you guys as well. Okay. All right. Okay, on the planning phases, right. This is where it gets interesting. Do you have a documented procedure for conducting your environmental aspect assessments? You did refer to your risk assessments earlier on, your environmental ones. You did show us that. So you obviously have done them. Is there a procedure there, Tisha?
It is in our,
It should be in.
our,
It should be in your manual, your share. Yeah, it should be there. Yeah, and the fact that you've done it means that it is being done. So yeah, okay. You have you've showed us that. That we've seen. Okay, your time frame for reviewing that aspect assessment. There should be a stipulation showing, just telling you how often. Not. Okay. Has management signed off on the completed aspect assessments? Did you physically sign that document, sign off on it? The risk assessment you did, you showed us it. You've got it, so you've got all the documentation. You just need to just put a thing on it. Okay. All right. These are small little things that you know, it's not. Okay, and that's right. All right. The guys that are in control, Leonard, like yourself, do you have the authority and the ability to fix the things that are wrong? If you've identified some of the impacts, like you showed us with the stormwater, are you able to mitigate those, you personally, as the responsible person?
Yeah, I would, but then I will consult.
No, fair enough. But I mean, it would be your decision. Okay.
What number are you now?
14.6. No, 6.61272. If I lost you, did I go a bit fast? Sorry. I'm not reading the questions that have already been answered.
617.
Yeah. 61272. 61272. Okay. All right. Tisha, I think you can answer. It got your backup. We've actually got a 3-tier here. We've got 3. That's fantastic. All right. Under the heading of 6127, has the operation determined the environmental aspects of its activities, products and services within the scope of its EMS? And that includes changes, planned or new developments. That you did. You told us that with the new plant. Yeah. Normal, abnormal, and reasonably foreseeable emergency conditions. You've spoken about that. Does the operation consider a life cycle perspective? You've told us that as well. So those are all good. Does the assessment include consideration of aspects associated with the protection of the environment or optimal resource use? It showed in his presentation that you are looking at that. And
Should one also add a bit of line planning in the presentation?
Yeah, it would probably be a good idea. You addressed dust emissions. You didn't address exhaust fumes, smoke, and odors. What is your take on that? Your dust, you addressed very well. You did that very nicely. Exhaust fumes from vehicles. Any thoughts on that?
We should actually put that in measurements that we do in that, and then also utilizing more modernized equipment. Unfortunately, it doesn't have grandfathers of 1980.
Yeah. Look, your other side of it, and I'm speaking as a quarry manager for myself now, because that's what I am. You know, your maintenance of your vehicles, if that's done correctly, you're going to reduce your exhaust emissions. Done, finished. Have machines not idling unnecessary, you've reduced that. So have a look at that and see what sort of simple things. Don't get complex, eh? I mean, a little sticker inside your loader. If you're not working, switch it off.
Now we have a strong for the youngsters. Yeah. So if missing items, it will give me a report.
Okay. So all right. So you see now you've already addressed it. Put it into your thing to say these are the things that come through. And then smoke and odors. We don't really make odors except your blasting odors. Those you do. There's not much you can do about that. But you don't make fires on site.
No.
Yeah. I mean, and then there's an odor.
Supposed to have my back here.
Okay. The soil pollution, guys. And you refer to this just now. Your water that is contaminated, you're going to have to look at that. That I think is something which you haven't addressed, and it's something that can actually bite you quite badly. It's you know, the rehabilitation and cleanup costs of that are quite bad. So I'm going to just put a note in that for you. Say soil. Due to have a look at that. I think it's something which you know, put it on your action plan and get it sorted out.
What the expert in the room.
Yeah, use him. I mean, he's got all that information.
Analyzing.
Yeah.
And I use my resources.
Okay. Does your assessment include your topsoil? You mentioned topsoil, yes, and then overburn handling, stockpiling. You did mention that in your presentation, so that's great. Surface and groundwater pollution. We looked at that. There's still a gap there. Okay, we agree on that. Handling of water, especially rainwater and water used for vehicle and product washing. You don't wash. It's a dry plant. Or do you wash? It's a dry plant. Eh? You don't have a wash plant here. Wash plant. You don't wash material. No. Okay. Yeah. And when you wash your vehicles, do you wash vehicles? At the wash bay. Okay, so you've got a proper wash bay. It's horrible that I ask you these questions. Sit here and you focus everything on you. Okay, the waste creation, handling, and disposal. What do you do with your waste? Your waste that you generate. You've got scrap metal, you've got general waste, you've got hazardous waste, you've got oils, you've got all these things.
Oil will be implemented.
Okay.
Hazardous waste also will be. Somebody who comes in collecting.
Which waste?
Hazardous waste.
Hazardous waste. Your rubbers and oil contaminated products. Yeah. Scrap metal.
There will be a big money.
Yeah. Okay, and then your general waste?
General waste, we have
where do they take that to? Is it a landfill?
It is a landfill, yeah.
Okay. You're not recycling anything? You're not waste separation, plastics?
No, paper. We do, but we just, maybe that's where the comes, because they do come and take it.
So you separate and they take the whole lot away to the landfill or to a recycling landfill? All right. Environmental noise, including machinery, blasting, and late shifts. So late shifts doesn't count. You said you only worked for 5. Is that consistent, or do you ever?
On EV states, that is otherwise on sunset.
Okay, okay. So you're sticking to that one.
There's the letting noise if you want to observe.
A well timed, good timing. Listen, Letitia's an old hand at these ones. We've come a long road together.
Just go and interview about.
Okay. You also spoke about your environmental noise, where you actually are doing your noise sampling, which is your noise measurements, which is great. Blasting, you also mentioned, we've discussed that. You've got your seismos up. Just on those, have you had problems on the blasting noises? Fly rocks? I saw the fly rock in that blast. You can't tell me you didn't.
But we keep it to ourselves.
It's our fly rock, it's no one else's. Okay, guys, no, great stuff. All right, then the vibrations you have measured, you have made things with that. Okay. Fly rock. Nothing out.
Not out of the boundary.
Tell me the truth. I'm also a blaster.
Nothing out of the boundary.
Nothing out the boundary. Not yet.
Just add that.
No one's house
You never know.
no one's house got a hole in the roof. Okay, let's just stick there. If that had to happen, is there a procedure that you've got to address that? Can you just highlight that for us?
We've got a procedure for it. It depends on how you see fly rock. It's not different.
Well, the technical thing of fly rock is anything that goes outside of your mining boundary. Okay, so that is the definition. Okay, no problem. Okay, so it's anything that goes outside of your mining boundary. Internally, corporates sometimes have different things, but legally, that's what you do.
If you've got a procedure, if you off the blast, the manager goes in, he takes it after you just to make sure there's no fire. If fire is, then you start the investigation.
Okay.
And all of our blasts have been recorded, so we can see in the investigation.
Both to be an our office.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Okay, well, that's good. On-site storage, handling, spillage, and disposal of chemicals and hazardous, including hazardous substances. You mentioned something earlier on about the oil store. Is it not big enough, a bit small?
As everything grew, so you'll see it's
okay.
was nice for,
but it is there and it is functional.
Closed,
Any other hazardous material that you guys has it been addressed in the impact assessment? Okay. Have you addressed fires? Have you got your own firefighting equipment and teams? All right. Now, there's a question here, which is, it sounds like a silly one, but it's becoming quite a big one. It's the aesthetics at 6.12914. As aesthetics, and I'm going to read the question, that include views of the operation from surrounding areas and of sensitive viewers. Now, some of the operations have a huge problem because, as you guys know, communities have come around and we've got some very fancy estates. We've got it in the Cape Town operations. The quarry's been there for 50 years, and the new residential estate's been there for 15 months, and they want the quarry to close down because they don't like it. And you're sitting with this. You're very fortunate here. You're away from everybody. So for now.
They're coming closer.
They will come, and they will come to your boundary. Yeah. So you're going to have to just be aware of that and keep that in mind.
I stay benches.
Yeah, and plant a whole lot of trees there so no one can see. It's a huge problem. It's an enormous problem.
I feel sorry for the client that's half on a hill and the community is here and they look into this.
Yeah, yeah.
At Nelspruit, it could be removed a overburden now, and then they could see it. We have to put the overburden now back
again.
so that they don't see it.
You know, if you look at FESAM in Woodbank, I mean, they've got people literally on their boundary. They hear and the pit is there. I mean, it's how you going to manage that. I don't know.
Just another example. You don't even know there's a mine because of the tree.
Yeah.
So tree planting and burn.
So just be a berm makes a huge difference. You know, 1.5 2 meter berm. It's amazing what it actually can to conceal. And then, as you say, put some good trees in there, bush type trees. But make sure it's indigenous trees and not aliens, which is not always easy, I must tell you, because especially on the high veld with the frost, it's a problem.
It's always a provision to be get.
Yeah.
We have to create a buffer.
Yeah.
90 meters.
Yeah.
That's why we can plant it.
You can plant your trees.
And
you know, down here it's easy to plant your trees. It grows. You put the broom in the ground. It grows. Okay, then is there assessment? Is there provision for protected fauna and flora and heritage structures?
It's not heritage, but they were protected trees.
Okay.
We had to ask permission to clear the area.
Okay. Okay. Is that in the actual mining area?
Yes.
That's a new site.
Yeah. Identified alien invasive vegetation. He said he hasn't done that in his presentation. Is that correct? Did he understand it correctly?
It's in the EMP, it's identified that we now remove. So it's not having an alien vegetation
program.
Okay.
So it is identified because the question is purely have they been identified?
But what he's saying is he won't know which one to go.
Yeah.
He means that now.
Okay. Have you spoken about light pollution? You shouldn't have a problem here, but you haven't spoken about that. Okay. Radioactive, that's not applicable then. Some of the site's material can be radioactive, especially guys that are doing. Yeah, and if you're processing a mine dump as well on your site, it can be there's certain radioactive. Yeah, that's yeah, it will have something in it. Okay, Phosphates.
Phosphate.
Yeah. Okay, now we get to 61311. Legal registers that we got.
We have a site, but honestly, we need to expand. It's too high level.
Okay.
So it says the various dust points, but it doesn't say.
I think that's a problem everyone has because a legal register is a complex document. It doesn't matter how you paint it; it still stays a difficult thing.
So what we think of closing the gap is using the EMP. Every single one put the legal reference next to it on the presentation.
Yeah, okay. But to answer the question, yes, you've got it on site. Okay. That will have that. Okay, the approved and signed EMP document. Has it been submitted?
Yes.
With proof?
Yeah.
Can you show me? The question asks that. I haven't done this once to you. Proof. I'm going to just carry on and answer a few of these questions. You've got a valid mining authorization. You showed us that. Now that score's big, eh? That's like 10 points in the thing there. The financial provision you showed us as well. Tell me the financial provision, how do you guys do that? Well, yeah, you just had to show one page. Thanks, Letitia. Yeah, Letitia, your financial provision, these are new questions. These are one or two new questions that I put in here. This was actually from feedback I got from one of the people. What is it? Is it a bank guarantee? Is it a trust account? How do you guys operate?
It is a trust.
A trust, okay. All right, no, that's great. And then there's an assessment report on that financial provision.
Yeah.
It's also done. Okay. All right, EMP performance assessment, is it updated?
Yeah, we do it every year.
You do it every year? Okay. Wow.
Depends on your EMP indicator.
Your EMP tells you when you must do it. But legally, I think it's every 5 years now. They've changed it, unless there's
Are
new.
you doing the whole EMP?
Yeah.
Oh, no, that's not every year. It's just.
No, the performance assessment. Okay, so yours is annually, which is fine. Okay, proof of appropriate land zoning on the site. This is agricultural. Do you have, obviously, your mining rights are there?
Yeah, mining rights, yeah.
Okay. Do you have any servitude applicable?
No power lines, no railway, only the railway.
Okay. Right, water use authorizations. You've got some, you haven't got others.
We've got we're busy with the Department of Water. For some reason, the dewatering of the is not part.
So what have you got? Have you got a GA? General? Proper VULA. So you've done the whole thing.
We had to because of the stream. They didn't want to let go.
It was too close.
Yeah.
How close?
Yeah. The stream runs through the pit and the
okay, yeah, then you won't get away.
There's another stream going around.
Okay.
So if that wasn't the case, we would not have had to.
Yeah.
They told us. We also, the VULA, we didn't include the sand mine. That's why we're not sand mining at the moment. Because it would have delayed us starting up on new point. So we said, okay, we'll later on attack the VULA for the sand mine. But we kept it in the EMP so that we don't have to do the EMP as well for the sand mine.
I'm going to just put in a thing here.
Interesting for the sand mining, they wanted additional specialist studies.
Yeah, they will. No, they will.
So that's why we said we ran on that.
But there, it's not a full score on that one, eh?
That's fine.
Because you
No, it's not.
yeah, no, but I'm just explaining to you, you haven't got that other part of it, so it is something else.
And it was great that Leonard picked it up.
Yeah.
He said, I'm using water from the pit, there was nothing to stop it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Okay, any additional licenses, permits, exemptions, leases, and conditions? Anything else that's... No. Okay. You obviously registered with NAIS.
yes, Tony submitted and sent all the documents to the managers last week.
Who does your submission? Does she do? Does he do? Okay, does the site have valid mine plans available? We have seen those. Okay, do you have access to the following legislation?
Delta Dynamics online. We've got 5 people with
Access.
license access. And all of these have been added to the That's the bylaws.
Lekker to have the audit document before, eh? They have all the answers. Okay. Then has a member of the operations management team undergone appropriate environmental legal training? You did say they did that last year. Yeah. Yeah, that was also done. Has the EMP been updated within the last 5 years? The signature of the EMP undertaking or the contact person listed in the EMP identified as a responsible person, the valid chain of command. Have a look. So it would probably be somebody, it won't be on site, it will be one of your senior people who will have signed that. In our case, it's Felix. And then he delegates it to the site guys.
I'm going to say no.
That would be the
We're just having a look. Letitia's paging furiously at the moment. On the submission side, where they
near the back.
Near the back, Letitia. Okay, well, let's come back to that while you're having a look there. Those two questions we'll just come back to. Okay, the next one, which is 61324, are there any satellite industries located within the EMP? That's not applicable because we've addressed that already. All right. PCBs, your transformers and things, do you have anything on site? You do? Are your transformers PCB free? And they've been tested? Okay, so, yeah. Is there proof on that testing? It's documented.
You signed somewhere here to accept the responsibility.
You might just came 3 days ago.
So when I read it on the plane as well, I'm going to sit down.
Have a look at that, Letitia, and because it should actually be somebody who submitted would have, like your national environmental or materials person, would have done the EMP and then delegated it downwards to you.
All the information is there, but
not the actual delegation. Just have a look at that. It's something worth looking at because it depends, eh? Because if they haven't delegated that information down to him, he's not responsible.
Yeah,
then they stay responsible. So. All right. Water Act, the National Water Act. The question is, does the operation have the appropriate water use authorizations? We've looked at that already. So taking water from a resource, you've got that. These are not applicable, a lot of them. You're not.
I'm just looking for his ruler summary.
Yeah.
Yes,
You got a storage permit?
on the ruler. Just sketching his
Okay, all right, okay.
Thanks. Yes. So he's got section 21A, C, G, and I.
Okay. Because you are removing water from underground, from a borehole. Jay, is that from a borehole, or is that underground mining?
No, J is the one that you say is not licensed.
Okay. Okay. Right. And then storing water. Does it? You actually don't. You haven't got that wrong.
Just checking.
Okay. Any exemptions that you applied for on the Water Act? Nothing. Yeah. Okay. The Air Quality Act. You have addressed the dust monitoring. You've given us the results. That's also changed. The legislation, just for interest sake, was GN 827. It's now the National Dust Control Regulations. It was amended. It was actually repealed, GN 827. Yolandi, I don't know if you know that. I found that out. All right, then the Biodiversity Act. Is there a list of threatened and protected species on site? Plants, no animals. There shouldn't be any animals here. I mean, it's been eaten long ago. So. I'm going to put a note in here, just say not animals. Okay. List of alien or invasive species. You've got that. Heritage is not applicable. It's also not applicable. See, a lot of these things are not applicable to specific sites, but you've got to ask them. Okay, then the Waste Act. Have you got an inventory for your waste types?
Yes, partial.
Partial. What does that mean?
I don't know for the other ones, but I think it the one to go much higher.
Okay. So you know how much you're generating and what it is.
How much is taken out? Yes.
Okay. Classification of waste. You do that? You know that? Is that on your inventory? Volumes generated? You weigh everything that goes out. How is waste being handled? That's 3, that's right. Okay, do you keep your records, your waste records of how much is going out? You've got to keep those for 5 years. Eh? You know that, eh? Okay. You don't, obviously, I don't think you would need a waste management license because you don't have the volumes. Out of interest, how much general waste do you have?
No, I saw, do I have on site or was it?
Yeah, how much goes out with the guys?
2 tons.
2 tons.
2 tons.
Okay. A week? Is that what, per week, per day?
No,
I mean, the price, we were talking price.
I was just saying, because I've got days where it was.
Okay, so on a, let's talk it on a 6-month period to get an average. What would you?
They innovate me once a month.
Yes. And you take, what is it, a skip that goes up? Okay, so 2 tons a month. Not required, the waste permit. Waste permit's required if you have for example, a hazardous waste of 80 cubic meters, which is a hell of a lot. General waste of 100 cubes per month. Eh? Okay. All right. Safety data sheets for all the hazardous material, are they there? Do the people handling the hazardous material have those things available? And are they trained?
Yes.
Are these documents available to interested parties if requested? You shake your head.
Yes. They want to know.
Okay. Have you conducted an audit to determine the hazardous waste chemicals on site? Have you got an actual document? You have a list. Who did that? Okay. Larry. Maybe I should ask to see that. I need to give Larry some more time. Okay. You don't have asbestos on site. It's a nice new site. Your sites some must have asbestos. From those older ones. Okay, then a mine survey, your annual mine survey done by the surveyors. That's done, eh? Big score there, eh?
And we very proud to say we started the internal mine planning division.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Very excited.
And then some new questions here. This is going to be horrible for you. Royalty payments. Proof of royalty payment. Are you registered with SARS?
Yes.
You are?
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. So, your Uncle Kiswet is good clients here.
I'm BE compliant, I'm SARS compliant, I'm what's this compliant, what else do you want?
No, that's fine. Okay, the mining charter compliance audit. Have you done that?
And submitted.
And submitted. Perfect.
And the mining works program.
Awesome. There's a question on the planning action. The first one is, has the operation planned how to integrate and implement these actions into the EMS processes and other business processes? And you've done that, you've explained that to us. Has the operation considered its technological options and operating requirements? The use of new technology, the use of better technology. Have you considered anything like that? You've got. No, but hang on, wait. He said it was Yeah, he said it was second-hand brand new. So I've seen a picture of it. Okay, that's awesome. On that one, it's an 89% compliance. There were a few things on those appointments further up and one or two little things that brought it down. But yeah, cool. And then we go to objectives. We're actually doing well for time. Do you guys want a break for? Okay, let's put a hold on it. Just if we can just keep it to 15 minutes, please, and then we can go.
Somebody wants to come.
So guys that are dialed in, we just can have a quick break. I think there's some eyes are watering here, and we can have we'll start at half past again.